A huge battle erupting over who should be able to buy the so-called morning after pill. Now, the FDA just ruling that if you're 15 or older, you can buy it over the counter. But does this debate really highlight the fact that we just have too many branches of government telling us how to run our lives, our families' lives, and our businesses? John Tamny, you think government should just get out of the way altogether. Explain.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this would be disturbing to parents, but that doesn't mean the federal government should once again insert itself. The federal government exists to protect us from private intruders, and it also exists to protect our rights to live as we want. But it doesn't exist to serve as nanny to us and serve as our parent. It doesn't take a village to raise kids. This is something that should be left to parents, not the federal government.
Although, Steve, when it comes to 15-year-olds, they're still under our charge, right?
Oh, absolutely, which is why the majority age is 18.
Yeah.
And this is a very potent pill. You can have a lot of bleeding from it. It's not like buying a candy bar, a pair of shoes, or a sweatshirt. This is very potent stuff, and if misused or not used right, can have very adverse consequences. So regulations are the right thing to do.
Well, in fact, Mike, there are more restrictions on whether you can buy anti-cold medicine than whether you can buy this stuff if we follow these new FDA regulations.
That's true. I think there's a role for government. Doesn't have to be federal government, could be state or local government. I don't want food companies to be able to produce poison and sell it as healthy baby food.
Right.
So there is a role here. And look, on a personal level, I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I don't feel comfortable with the fact that she could just walk into a drugstore and buy something like this without the approval of me or my wife.
On the other hand, Rich, there's so many areas in which government is getting into our lives that I'm somewhat sympathetic to what John Tamny is saying.
Well, I love John, but here's where his libertarian view of the world, I think, just does not cover it. I've never known anybody, by the way, who's had teenagers and survived the experiences and still a pure libertarian.
That's a great point. That is a great point.
When states, so we've experimented with drinking age being 18 versus 21. When it's 21, you have 10 to 25 percent fewer traffic fatalities. There are an explosion of unintended consequences if we give tacit permission to 15-year-olds to go out and have sex anytime they want.
Sabrina, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm all for smaller government, but in this instance, I definitely think the government has a role to play. I also have 2 daughters, so this, hits at home for me. But this is not just a medical issue. This is about sex. It's about minors. It's about conception. There's so many issues here that are at play. The idea that unelected judges or bureaucrats could stand between parents and their children on an issue of this magnitude, it just seems unbelievable to me.
Rick, what do you think?
I think that Rich Cargard gets teenagers. I love that comment. Rich, you win for the best one of the day. A point of clarification you should keep in mind. It's the FDA and the Obama administration that is challenging a ruling of a New York court that is making this available without parental consent and for kids 15. This highlights why we need government regulation from time to time, and
because Obama has daughters.
On the other hand, let me go back to Steve Forbes for a second. Steve, you're a great capitalist. You're a tool of capitalism, if you will. The fact is that you don't trust government, and the FDA is the one regulating all this. Do you really trust the FDA to be good regulators here?
The FDA has made some very bad decisions over the year, David. But the idea that you have either regulations or anarchy, no, it's about common sense and sensible things. Again, this is a very potent drug. This can have devastating consequences, and the idea you treat it like a piece of gum, I think it's just preposterous.
All right, let me push back another. John Tamny, isn't there some role for government in protecting us from bad medications or dangerous ones?
I don't think so. Sex, drugs, all of these are serious subjects, and why would we leave it to the alleged angels in government to protect us from these things? This is the job of parents. It's not the job of government.
Mike Ozanian?
We're not leaving it to them totally, John. They can assist the parents in making the proper decisions.
I don't want that help.
Libertarianism doesn't mean devoid of all laws. Libertarians, I'm a libertarian, but I don't believe we should be able to go into a movie theater and yell fire. I think the government should assist in that and not just leave it to everybody in the movie theater.
Sabrina, go ahead.
Well, we're not talking about adults here. We are talking about children under the age of 18. That's something very different.
That's
I, too, am concerned about the FDA over-regulating and not releasing drugs on the market that may help people. But we're talking talking about 14 and 15-year-old kids, and we're sort of accepting a policy that says have sex before you think of the consequences. This is a terrible message.
Rick, let me just go to you briefly on this. You're right that the Obama administration is actually to the right of the judge who wants to get rid of all regulations. He's like John Tamny. Nevertheless, do you think 15-year-olds are old enough to be able to decide these things?
No, of course not, and neither does the president. But I am.
Whoa, wait a minute. I thought he was supporting the FDA position that 15-year-olds should be able to buy it over the counter.
No, the FDA wants it to be older also. That was part of the judge's ruling.
I think 15 is
no. But I am enjoying everybody trying to come to grips with their inner libertarianism. This is fascinating.
We are, Steve.
Progress.
No, well, the bottom line is when something is very dangerous, you do have rules and regulations. Madison understood it. It's not anarchy, but you shouldn't be allowed to drive 100 miles an hour in a school zone or have kids who can't make informed decisions yet, making decisions on potentially deadly drugs.
John Tamny, we are still leaning heavily in your direction. Thank you, gang. Unions fighting to stop the deportation of illegal immigrants. Now, they say they're looking out for undocumented workers, but are they just looking out for themselves?